Coming up in this video, feeling utterly alone. How to break the pattern. If you're new, consider subscribing, click that bell, and you'll be good to go.
And for those of you that don't know us yet, I'm Heather.
And I'm David.
From ZenMostGarden.com. For all our Zen heads in Zen Ed Academy, let us know you're here with hashtag ZenHead for life.
If you're watching live, give us a hashtag live tribe.
Yes. And if you're watching on the replay, give us a hashtag replay. I wanted to be you for a second.
Wow.
I wanted to be you. We're going to talk about a little bit of our dark kind of moments. I think the title of this live should be How David and Heather Stopped Being Whiny Bitches. Because if we can call you on your shit on the daily, we should be forthcoming about our dark moments. And I think we have a couple of dark moments we might tell you about.
This morning we did a video on feeling abandoned, and we wanted to follow up with some of our more personal thoughts on the matter. But what we want to know is,
have you had a time in your life when you felt utterly alone, completely abandoned, and totally betrayed?
Let us know in the comments.
Like some dark kind of shit. So, and if you haven't, you're probably a robot.
I love how you said that. And Ginger's comment is, as we are to you, abducted.
Abducted? All right.
That's what she says. She says abducted. So I don't know if like we're the aliens abducting you or if you're the aliens abducting us. Of course, feeling dark.
Postpartum is a bitch. Yeah.
Because I've heard.
He's that big of an empath that he I wasn't even pregnant when he was around. So it's like, okay, postpartum, just to let you know, lasts about 25 years until they move out. So I want to talk about, I love my kids, totally.
So Ginger says addicted, damn autocorrect. But I personally prefer abducted.
I kind of like abducted.
I like abducted better.
I've been called an alien. So yeah, an ex-boyfriend called me that. I was like, we're not going to last very long. He's like, I think you're an alien. I think you might be a gray. I'm like, really? Because I thought I was a Mexican. So
he just called you old. You might be gray.
You know, that's why he's an ex. I'm the youngest of 7 children, 8 children as of last year, because we found one. And then knowing that my dad was bopping around Europe, you know, my mom, there might be more.
Made life so much more exciting.
As of now, I'm the youngest of 8 children that I know of, but they were all born like in a clump, and then there was a 10-year break, and then there was me. So I was, for all intents and purposes, growing up as an only child with just my parents. So as an only child, you would think you would be really lonely, but it's like a double-edged sword. For a lot of the time, I was craving siblings. Like I really wanted siblings because all my siblings were so much older and they were already getting married and having kids. But it seems like for me, I really learned how to be with myself and to, you know, be alone and explore and imagine and I think a lot of only children don't have as much issue being alone because they know how to be alone, and they learn to be with themselves. But the trade-off is you are by yourself a lot of the time, and you can crave company, which is what I did. So both of those I experienced as a child. And I think David was the oldest of a bunch of kids.
A bunch.
So like
a banana bunch.
And that was kind of a different experience.
So being the oldest of 5 children, and it was really difficult for me to have a moment of peace to myself. So that was kind of the flip side to me. But for me, the feeling alone part, hard for me to be recognized for being me, being unique, being independent, even though I was the oldest child. So I didn't have as much opportunity to have the alone time that Heather had much more. I'm envious and jealous right now. So it was hard for me to carve out spaces of my own. What it did help me with, though, was connecting to people, because the dynamic between a bunch of kids is everybody's vying for attention. Everybody's, trying to stand out in the spotlight. So that contention, that fighting for the spotlight and trying to kind of carve that out is one of the things that helped me to become strong in who I was in a sea of people.
So here I think is the flip on that for me, because I think only children have a harder time peopling, because I had a hard time like figuring out how to social. Right. You know, so it's kind of like, as an only child, you spend so much time like in your own head and talking to adults because you have mostly adults around you, that when you get with your peers, it feels like you're lonely in a group, because it's like you don't really relate the same way that like kids with sibling families do. And so for me, I spent kind of a lot of time lonely, even with other kids, because we didn't talk about the same things. It's kind of like my parents were like super intellectuals. So they were talking about cartoons, and my mom and dad didn't let me watch TV because it was like, so I felt sort of different, like nobody could understand me.
Right.
So,
and for me personally, it was kind of a similar thing because we moved around a lot. There was a lot of the feeling alone in a crowd of people, especially when I was younger. Now I don't have that much, that issue so much anymore because I've learned how to be with myself. So being alone in a crowd of people it's a big thing. I was doing research on this topic, and that was one of the things that came up was people feeling alone, even in a crowd of people. So when you're not comfortable with who you are and haven't overcome that fear of maybe being judged by your peers or learning how to integrate with your peers, as Heather's talking about, then you can definitely feel more alone, even in a whole bunch of people, because it's like, who are the people that are like me? Who is similar to me? Who can I find? Where's my tribe? Well, if you don't know who you are, it's hard to find the people that match you.
I had to just learn how to be really loud. So I want to ask you guys, do you like yourself? I mean, not love yourself.
It doesn't have to be full on, I love myself.
Well, because in this field, we talk about I love myself.
Right.
We got to do the affirmation, self-love. Mm-hmm. But do you like yourself? I mean, because I know it takes a while to learn how to like yourself, because you can love someone, but not really like them, right? Oh, I love you, but I don't like you. So you have to, at some point, learn to be your own best friend.
Yes.
And I think even as an only child, that's a little difficult because you don't know what a best friend does.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of a stumbling block for me, was learning how to be my own best friend. Now, as I got older, I made friends with some of my siblings because as I kind of grew up, so I'm close with some of my siblings now, but some not really at all because we didn't grow up together. So, but if you need to learn how to be your own best friend, if you want to engage in a healthy way in life, and that takes a while to learn.
Yeah. And I think when we're talking about best friends, for me, because we moved around a lot and because I had to acquire new friends rapidly to survive in different school settings, it was easy for me to make friends, easy for me to build rapport and kind of connect with people at least on the basic surface levels. But the depth of connection was where I struggled with. It was challenging for me to find deeper connections. So that's something that I've consciously worked on over time and created a deeper connection with myself and created deeper connections with people around you, which is also why I love all of our Zen heads, why I love all of you guys that are here with us online, because it gives me the opportunity to practice deepening connections with people. And speaking of the video that we did earlier today, there was the topic was being abandoned by your spirit guides, being abandoned by the energy that is supposed to help you, right?
Your spiritual SWAT team, like
right.
Where they go, right? So
for me personally, there was a time, and this kind of came full circle later in life, but there was a time when I was like 9 years old when I got hit with a hockey stick right here. I got a scar to prove it. I don't need to show you guys, but I was basically knocked out cold. And in that moment and in that blackness, I remember feeling absolutely alone. I knew that there was some other side. I knew that there was somebody out there helping and protecting, guiding, and connecting and all of those things. But in that moment, there was nobody. There was just darkness in my mind. And I was like, what the hell? There's supposed to be somebody here to me. So supposed to be somebody on the other side that's supposed to help me, that's supposed to at least hold my hand and let me know that I'm okay. And there was nothing. It was pure pitch black. And everybody talks about, going to the other side and they're greeted with this tunnel and this, warm connection and people on the other side waiting for you and all your loved ones. And I got bupkis, okay? Complete darkness. And then when we went through our cranio training, there was a moment that came up again, and Heather happened to be working on me. I want you to.
So I was working on David, and he went into the process, and I guided him through that kind of underworld journey. And he immediately was 9 years old again, and the lights went out, and then he heard a voice that said, "Just turn the switch on." I don't even know if I said it in the moment, just turn the light switch on. It was either a voice in his head or if it was me saying it. I don't remember, but it was
I think it was you saying, but it was something Shannon.
It was definitely somebody telling.
I was going through this. It was pretty much silent. There were 5 people working on me. Heather was at my head, and I was going through this experience pretty much on my own, going to the dark place again where there was nobody there. And I said, There's nobody here. I'm dead. It's dark.
And so I said, turn the light switch on. And he turned the light switch on and suddenly saw this group of his.
There was an entire circle
rolling deep
that was there. They hadn't abandoned me. They were there. They were just waiting for me to believe.
Yes, it's about faith. Just like, I'm crying. I know, right? That's why I like him, because he feels his shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it is about, we are challenged with faith when we're in tough times, and that's why I want to get on this live, because it's Suicide Prevention Day, and I think that experience closed a loop.
It definitely did. So that experience also was, there was a part of my life. It was a part of my life when I was out for adoption, basically. My mom was a drug addict, hardcore heroin addict, and couldn't life, let alone be a mother. So in that period of time, it was like a 2-year period of time where she had put us up for adoption because she couldn't deal, she couldn't hang. So at 9 years old, I was with, and they were actually a very good couple, very supportive and everything like that. And it was like a real live family. And
you guys got him today. He's feeling it.
And I didn't feel worthy. So having that happen in that moment kind of brought it to the surface that maybe I wasn't worthy of love, family, support, all of that. And that,
I got you, boo.
Woo.
I'll take you to sushi.
And that experience with Heather was the full circle. I'm worthy again. Okay. And interestingly enough, that point in my life, I was starting to open that back up and starting to feel worthy again, starting to feel lovable again. It wasn't that I hadn't in my life, but not to this depth. So bringing that full circle is just,
that's what you do when you go into that space that you don't want to go into.
Yeah,
it's scary, but you close the loop.
Right. And going into the darkness, sitting with it and letting it be okay to turn the lights back on. That's perfect. So I want to hit Poppy's question here. She says, I've been ill for a while and going through my spiritual awakening on my own. I felt so alone until recently. Now I know my Nana is supporting me from the other side, so I don't feel quite so alone. That is a great first step. And after you get out of that darkness, talking about the spiritual awakening, we did an entire series on the dark night of the soul. Definitely go check that out after this. I would definitely, if it's something that you're ready for, I would urge you to take a look at Zen Ed Academy, see if it's something for you, because the support that we have there, the people that we have there, the group that we have there is just fucking phenomenal, absolutely amazing. Lord says, I like myself, but I struggle to like myself more than I like other people sometimes.
Yeah, that's where you got to flip it around, right?
Ginger says, yes, but still a work in progress.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
Aren't we really all?
Denny says, Poppy, you should never feel alone. Spirits and guides will always be around you. I do agree. However, sometimes that darkness is necessary. Feeling abandoned, feeling alone can be necessary. And there's proof in my particular story that was an integral part of my journey, that if I didn't feel as alone, I couldn't feel as alive on the other side of it.
So I think that it is important to kind of feel alone, because that's part of our hero's journey, right? Like we talked about in this morning's video on feeling abandoned, to feel alone in that moment and desolate is an important part of, are we willing to fight to not be alone? So Joseph Campbell, who I know is one of my gurus on the other side, said that sometimes people with unfinished parental issues, like feeling abandoned, such as feeling unaccepted or not understood by a parent, are often reflected in religions sometimes, where people can obsessively seek approval and acceptance of the parent figure, so they can finally feel acceptable to themselves, which is the whole point of a spiritual path. So a little bit about feeling alone because no one could see me. I mean, I like me, but I was lonely for someone to see me. And that's the quest we're all on, right? We're lonely for someone to see us. So finding someone you don't have to prove yourself to, I think, is our life quest.
Right.
Or prove that you are acceptable and cool to, because that's a lot of damn work, right?
Stop proving yourself, just be yourself.
But I do have a story that we were talking about. What stories do we have about rejection, abandonment, and feeling alone? I had some high school, like I said, I think I had a hard time peopling for a while. And I remember one time I had a dark period where I don't think I was very well understood in high school. I was a little bit quirky, a little artsy, a little bit different, a little bit, maybe a little bit stonerish. I don't know, but I don't do that anymore. But I remember being home one weekend and I got a phone call from a bunch of mean girls, right? Some of which I'm Facebook friends with now, and we're cool now. But like they were like a group of mean girls, and they were popular girls. They were a couple cheerleaders in the mix, like that mean girls group. And they called me on the phone in the night, pretending to be nice, and then they started like bagging on me on the phone, like being really mean. And I tried to hang up the phone, but my mom had picked up the line in the other room, and she was very quiet and was not saying anything. So, when you hang up a phone, the old school phone, it won't hang up. So they just kept going off and saying really cruel things. And it was such a shameful moment for me, because it was like the group, I had to go see these people in school every day. And there was all this shame surrounding it. And my mom was on the other phone. I knew she was, because I couldn't hang up on them. It was like a nightmare.
Wow.
And she said nothing about it.
That was back when we had like landlines.
Yeah, it was landline. It was like 1980s. So she didn't say anything. She didn't fight for me. Maybe she didn't want to embarrass me in front of these girls. Maybe she thought we were joking, but I felt kind of abandoned. Like the person that was supposed to like step up and be like, don't you fucking talk to my daughter like that. Nothing. She never said anything. And I felt like I don't have backup here. And then I don't have anywhere here. I felt like uncomfortable in all the places.
And I can't take my power back and hang up.
Right. So I was totally feeling helpless. Like, what do I do here? So it's kind of like having to deal with my own uniqueness and having that be acceptable in the world, where it was the point when you're a teenager, you're not really feeling accepted or understood by your parents either. So those are those moments I think that people get to, we talk about it more now, but back in the day you didn't. It was like shame and you hid it. So it was kind of like, those are the moments that can really sink someone who's a teenager, who doesn't quite have their ego strength strong enough to really be able to get over that. I did, luckily, I had enough, that I was like, no, I'm going to be fine. And I fought through it. But
I think there's something really good with that, is that, and especially because it's an older story, is that bullies haven't changed. Okay.
No.
Bullies have been around since the dawn of time. It's a pack mentality thing. It's a thing that just happens in social settings and social situations. It's not about the bully. It's about standing up for yourself inside of your head to yourself. Okay. Because their opinion doesn't matter unless you make it matter. Poppy says, thank you. I know that now. I can't believe I felt so alone. I need to work on reopening lines of communication with my guides. I got hit in the head, and it's been a long journey back to where I was. Here's the thing with that, Poppy. You will never go backwards. You can't reclaim where you were. You can only build from what you have now to become the best you in this moment with the best connection in this moment. Okay. Poppy says, thank you for sharing, David. And you were right. I think I needed to go through the dark night of the soul. I've had enough of it now, ready to get on with things. There's plenty.
Kick butt. So you may be technically abandoned. Okay.
But does everybody have to like you?
Which is what I kind of got to in my space. Like, I've got to like myself. Right. And so if so, you're setting yourself up for feeling abandoned in the long run.
So when we feel abandoned, it's like the skin of the underlying feeling of being rejected. It's just the surface.
Right.
When we are rejected, we are rejected. Okay. So we feel like that our self-value is in the toilet. Right. It's absolutely nothing. It's easier to outwardly show that we feel abandoned because there's less shame in saying that I've been abandoned, and we get more attention than when we get that rejection letter. Okay. So that rejection letter, the feeling of rejection, is what we try to hide. So we put the surface of abandonment.
Right. So for me with those mean girls, it was easier for me to go into that dark, tortured artist place and go, no one understands me. I'm an artist. Rather than say all of the popular girls rejected me.
Yeah.
So that was an easier thing to say, but at the heart, it was that shame I had to deal with and the conflict. If I like myself, no one else does. And is that okay? Yeah. Now I don't give a flying
rats,
but there are many times in life that people have left me, abandoned me, bailed on me, and more times than I can count. But I have never been so depressed and down, been pretty down, that I abandoned myself completely, which is doing, obviously, because that's what this day is about, is suicide prevention. But I've never been so depressed that I was, obviously. So I may have temporarily curled up in a ball, and licked my wounds, but self-pity has kind of a bitter flavor after a while, because feeling sorry for myself. And then you kind of realize that nobody, for me, my come to Buddha moment was realizing that nobody is going to care about your life as much as you do.
They're not going to.
And besides, why should other people spend their resources helping you when you are not willing to help yourself? So for me, it was like, big girl, boots on, I'm going to get it together, and I'm going to be myself, and I'm going to find my people along the way. And I did.
That goes for living people, and that goes for your spirit guides, your angels, whatever support system you've got on the other side.
Absolutely.
They're not going to give you all of their resources if you're just squandering them and wasting them on your self-pity.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay to be in the emotion for a minute. I'm all for being in the emotion, because we got to feel it.
In high school, I had a moment of severe depression, severe darkness, and I was contemplating suicide. And in that moment, everything was dark. There was no way out. And I was like, there were obviously ways out. I just couldn't see them. But in that moment, I was like, there's nothing. I came to this realization that, yes, I could go down that road. I could follow that path, and I could go to completion with it and be done. Then what would happen? I would have to come back around and do it again. So why not do my best, face that fear? And in that moment, I faced that fear. And the clouds opened up, that, everything was great after that. But that darkness took me down to like the core of my being and what I wanted to experience in life. And I chose to break myself out of that darkness. Once you realize that you are the only one that can take responsibility for your life, because I was putting a lot of my feelings on other people and what they had done to me, that's when you get it. Okay. And it's true. Nobody cares about your life more than you do. You have to be passionate. You have to engage. You have to become passionate about your own life. Then you can light the flame in others and find your people, because they can't see you when you're wallowing in darkness. It's hard to see yourself, let alone it's hard for other people that really do want to support you. They want to connect with you. They want to share with you. They are just as lonely as you are, but they're looking for you. In order for you to do that, for them to find you, you've got to light yourself up a little bit.
And that's not always easy to do. I know. I mean, we were telling you, just do it, stop whining, but it's a long road. I mean, we've gone up that hill ourselves barefoot on glass. With hail. Yeah.
So when you get to that point and you start to spark yourself, you attract people that have also not abandoned themselves. Okay?
I don't know what kind of slip that was.
You haven't abandoned yourself. They haven't abandoned themselves. And then it's a party. That's when Vegas hits the streets.
Yeah. And then we all meet at Hakkasan and light, pop some bottles and light fireworks. I don't think you can do those in
and make it rainy.
So we are, Hakkasan's a big club here in Vegas, by the way. Which I've never been to, by the way. Denny, you both have a lovely white light around you. You're both very gifted. Thank you for sharing what you do. Just want to say thanks. Thank you for hanging out and just
Denny
spending the afternoon with us.
Absolutely.
We're gonna head out like a baby and get some food.
Yes.
For more live hangouts and behind the scenes secrets and mind hacking pro tips, be sure to subscribe.
And we know that time is a valuable and precious resource. And the fact that you guys have chosen to spend that not only with us, but only for yourselves, leveling up your skills, taking your life to a new level, becoming that badass unicorn that you were meant to be.
Yes.
Thank you guys for joining. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.